Welcome back to Kamikaze Overdrive MMA predictions for UFC 119. But as always, it's accountability time, so let's recap my picks from UFC Fight Night 22. I went 2-2 in the card, but we'll take a moral victory. As I predicted, underdog Charles Oliveira's submission of Efrain Escudero. With the 2-2 record, my overall mark climbs to 11-9, an above 500 record, but a record I'll be improving upon starting with UFC 119. Before I give you my picks, as always, my videos are affiliated with sportsinteraction.com. Please check out sportsinteraction.com/Kamikaze Overdrive MMA to bet on the fights, or click on the link below to sign up and get a 100% deposit bonus on up to $125. Also, I've branched out to include weekly NFL point spread pick videos, so please check out my Kamikaze Overdrive NFL pick videos. You can find them on my channel. Now, without further ado, let's get to my picks for UFC 119 on September 25th, 2010. The first fight on the card is in the lightweight division between 43-9-3 Melvin Guillard and 18-5 Jeremy Stephens. Entering the fight, Stephens is a slight underdog paying $225, while Guillard, the favorite, pays $1.57. Heading into this matchup, Guillard has won 2 consecutive fights and 5 of his last 6, with his last win at UFC 114, while Jeremy Stephens is also riding a 2-fight win streak, following a split decision win over Sam Stout at UFC 113. These two fighters are combined for a grand total of 27 career knockouts, so this fight certainly has the potential for fireworks, and should be a candidate for fight of the night. Looking back at Stephens' last fight, he certainly demonstrated his power punching ability early on, connecting with big shots on several occasions. What concerns me is he appeared to fade and slow down considerably as the fight went on, and a dominant performance became a much tighter split decision victory. I expect that this fight will be decided on his feet, and seeing as that neither fighter has ever been knocked out in their career, I'm leaning towards a decision finish. Of the two fighters, Melvin Guillard has gone the distance 8 times with 7 wins, while Stephens has only gone to the scorecards 4 times with a 500 record. So my prediction for this fight is an explosive start followed by sustained stand-up, with Stephens slowly fading as the fight progresses and Guillard getting the better of him as on the scorecard. So my pick is Melvin Guillard paying $1.57 to defeat Jeremy Stephens by decision. Remaining in the lightweight division, the next matchup certainly has number 1 contender implications, as former lightweight champion 37-4-1 Sherk returns from an injury-induced layoff to battle undefeated 11-0 Evan Dunham. Looking quickly at the odds, it is interesting to note that the former champion is a significant underdog, and the odds have gotten steeper in favor of Dunham as the event draws closer. Evan Dunham currently sits at $1.43, while the Muscle Shark occupies a lofty $2.60 mark. To steal a line from Mike Goldberg, Evan Dunham is on a meteoric rise with 4 wins in the UFC, including impressive victories over Efrain Escudero and Tyson Griffin in his last 2 fights. To say the least, Evan Dunham is slick on the mat, boasting a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which has helped him secure 6 submission victories. Dunham boasts his own wrestling skills and has successfully tangled with wrestlers before. Sherk is a whole new beast. The Muscle Shark is just that, incredibly strong with a unique build for the lightweight division. In his career, Sherk has only tasted defeat on 4 occasions, twice as a welterweight to Matt Hughes and George St. Pierre, and twice as a lightweight to BJ Penn and Frankie Edgar. That's pretty impressive. That's a pretty impressive quartet, and if Evan Dunham is victorious at UFC 119, he will join some elite company. Another impressive area of note in Sherk's long career is in 38 fights he has never been submitted, something that will be put to the test in this matchup. Sherk comes from an impressive wrestling pedigree that has helped him succeed inside the octagon, but over his last few matchups, he appears to be leaning towards a more striking-based attack. Against Frankie Edgar, Sherk was beaten to the punch every time by a faster fighter with superior reach, 2 areas that Dunham will also have an advantage in. It is becoming apparent that time might be catching up with the 37-year-old as well. Sherk has only fought once in 2007, twice in 2008, once in 2009, and probably only once in 2010. He could also suffer from ring rust entering this fight, as he hasn't fought in over 16 months. Despite being the more seasoned fighter and former champion, Sherk is the underdog on the betting cards, which says to me that the odds makers certainly feel he isn't the Sherk of old. I know that Dunham will enter this fight looking to be the first to submit Sherk, and he is certainly capable of doing this. In the end, I see Dunham using speed and his reach advantage to pick Sherk apart. The former champion has great takedown defense, which should help him to keep the fight off the mat, but then again, so did Tyson Griffin, and Dunham was able to get him down and control him, taking his back on multiple occasions. But my prediction for this fight is Evan Dunham paying $1.43 to defeat Sherk by decision. For the next fight on the list, we move to the welterweight division for a matchup between former champion 17-6 Matt Serra and 39-17-4 Chris Lytle. This is a rematch of the Ultimate Fighter 4 finale that Matt Serra won over Lytle, setting up Serra for his shocking upset win over GSP to claim the welterweight title. Since that fight, Serra has only fought 4 times, going 2-2, while Lytle has fought a grand total of 11 times with a 7-4 record during that span, and is currently riding a 3-fight win streak. Looking at the list of fighters that these two have taken on, it's safe to say that these guys have fought the who's who of UFC welterweights. Names like Hughes, Alves, GSP, and Koscheck, just to name a few. Unfortunately, these two fighters have been unable to pick up wins over these names with, of course, one well-known exception. In a similar fashion to Sean Sherk, Matt Serra is a former champion of the division, but he's fighting him, but he's an underdog on the betting odds. The odds are not separated by a wide margin, but Serra currently sits as the slight dog at $2 even, while Chris Lytle, the favorite, pays $1.72. I've gone back and forth on who I think will win this fight, so I decided to look at some of the intangibles of the fight. It's interesting to note that coming into this fight, this is the first time that Matt Serra has fought more than once in a year since 2004. Well, this will be the 3rd time Lytle has fought this year. Both fighters have black belts in BJJ. Serra's is a 2nd degree. Both fighters have good striking, despite only combining for 4 total knockout wins in their career. Even though Lytle will be taller than Serra, neither fighter will hold a reach advantage in the matchup. The biggest stat I see with these two fighters is Lytle's 19 submission victories. And if you combine that with 0 submission defeats, that becomes quite interesting. Serra has also accumulated almost 50% of his wins by submission, but he too has never been submitted, so I think their submission skills will cancel each other out in the end. Moving to more of a negative point, Lytle has 15 decision defeats, which tells me he may be tough to finish, but fighters have had success outpointing him on the scorecard. Lytle is the UFC bonus king, earning 7 bonuses in his last 9 UFC fights, so this fight could also be candidate for additional honors. In the end, I don't think either fighter will end this fight before the final bell. I see Lytle using his wrestling to dictate where the fight goes, either using it to defend against Serra's takedowns or taking Serra down if he wants to. Serra's last 2 defeats came against guys that had wrestling skills, which Lytle will surely make note of. This contest will most likely spend most of its time on the feet, and I think Lytle will have the slight edge in the end. So I'm going to pick the favorite, Chris Lytle, paying $1.72 to defeat Matt Serra in a close split decision. In the co-main event of the evening, light heavyweights Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, 19-3, will square off a 12-0 Ryan Bader. Bader, the winner of the Ultimate Fighter 8, currently sits as the betting favorite at $1.57, while Little Nog is the underdog at $2.25. This is a matchup of 2 fighters currently rising up the light heavyweight ranks. In his 12 straight wins, Bader has shown he is far from a one-dimensional with 5 knockouts, 3 submissions, and 3 decision wins. On the other side of the octagon, Little Nog has now won 7 consecutive fights with 4 TKOs, 1 sub, and 2 decisions. Of all these victories, it is Nogueira's most recent decision win over Jason Brills that is weighing heavily on my mind. Brills, a late replacement for Forrest Griffin, was a heavy underdog but used his wrestling skills to control the fight and in many people's eyes, mine included, win the fight. But the judges saw it different and awarded the win to the Brazilian. Regardless of the outcome of that matchup, Brills certainly demonstrated a hole in Little Nog's skills. Before we get into that, this is certainly a step up for Ryan Bader. There's no doubt about it. His last win in knockout of Keith Jardine effectively put him on the map as more than just a reality show winner. I really think he has the skills to contend at 205, but this fight will help dictate if he is ready for the step up. Personally, I think he is, and I also think that this is a terrible stylistic matchup for Little Nog. Nogueira does have knockout power and, of course, has BJJ black belt, so he certainly can end this fight. Looking at the fight, I think Bader will use his striking to set up his takedowns, and I don't think Little Nog will be able to stop him. I see Bader controlling the fight on the ground and wearing down his opponent. As long as Bader avoids Nog's submission attempts, which will become far and fewer between as the match progresses, I think that Bader will either ground and pound his way to a stoppage or catch a worn-down Little Nog on his feet and knock him out. So my prediction for the co-main event is Ryan Bader paying $1.57 to defeat Antonio Rogerio Nogueira by stoppage, the late 2nd round, maybe into the 3rd. Moving out to the main event of the heavyweight division, former champion 13-5 Frank Mir will take on Croatian kickboxer 27-7-2 Mirko Cro Cop. Cro Cop is, of course, stepping on short notice for the injured Minotauro Nogueira, and this will be Mirko's biggest fight in the UFC by far. First, looking at the odds, Frank Mir occupies the role of the favorite, paying at $1.40, while Mirko pays $2.75 as the underdog. Mir enters the fight following a knockout defeat against Shane Carwin, and has alternated wins and losses over his last 4 contests. After struggling early in his UFC career, Mirko has experienced some success of late with 2 straight wins and wins in 5 of his last 6 fights, both in the UFC and abroad. I think that this fight definitely has #1 contender implications, but will the winner of this fight earn an immediate title shot? No way. A mere win could move him 1 win away from the rubber match with Brock or a shot against the new champ. While a Cro Cop victory would give him 3 straight wins, probably still needing another high-profile victory, but a title fight for the highly respected veteran could be billed as his last chance for championship glory. Looking at the fighters themselves, Mirko is a world-class striker, and his bread and butter is his devastating leg kicks. It appears, though, the knockout power once possessed by the Croatian's legs could be fading. In his win against Pat Barry, Mirko landed several kicks, which as a fan were nice to see, but they certainly didn't have the effect they've had in the past. Over Mir's last 6 fights, his performance can be broken down into 2 categories. Impressive striking and grappling, setting up either knockout or submission, hard-on Nogueira and Congo, or overpowering size and strength of an opponent, leading to Mir getting violently pounded on, Lesnar 1 and 2, and Carwin. If I had to pick a category that Mirko will fall into, I would say it is the first. Cro Cop is a kickboxer, just like hard-on and Congo, and he'll be looking for the knockout. Unfortunately, Mirko's best chance for a knockout, his head kicks, play right into the game plan of his opponent. Seeing that Cro Cop hasn't stopped anyone in quite a while with his legs, I don't think that Mir will be hesitant to shoot in for a takedown when the opportunity arises. If Mir chooses to keep it on his feet or Mirko stuffs the takedowns, I still think Frank will be able to hold his own in the stand-up and get the better of the Croatian. One of the most interesting things about fights in the heavyweight division is that there's far more deviation in the size of the fighters involved. Frank will be slightly taller than Mirko, have a 6-inch reach advantage, and could outweigh Cro Cop by 30 to 40 pounds. These stats will all figure into the outcome of the fight in the end, but my prediction for the main event of UFC 119 is Frank Mir paying $1.40 to defeat Mirko Cro Cop, most likely by submission. Before I finish up, I'll make 2 brief predictions for the live prelims on Spike TV. First up is Canadian Joe Dorkston riding a 7-fight win streak, taking on CB Dalloway, who's won his last 2 fights. Dorkston is the underdog, paying $3.50, while Dalloway, the favorite, pays $1.25. I'd like to take the Canadian at such a big odd, but I think Dalloway will use his wrestling and striking to earn the victory in this one. So my pick is CB Dalloway, paying $1.25. In the other televised prelim, heavyweights Joey Beltran and Matt Mitrione square off. Mitrione is the favorite, paying $1.55, while Joey Beltran, the dog, pays $2.30. Mitrione has only fought 2 career fights, and I think he's the favorite in this fight because he is a more well-known of the 2 fighters, based on his win on the main card of UFC 113 over Kimbo Slice. As a result, the odds makers put him as the favorite because the general public tend to bet on the fighter they know better. I think that this is a significant step up for Mitrione, as Beltran has 15 career fights and is a far better fighter than either of the opponents that Matt has faced so far. Beltran has 10 career knockouts, and he himself has never been knocked out. Beltran is a more experienced striker, has wrestling to rely upon, and a blue belt in BJJ. If Beltran could get inside Mitrione's reach, I think he can pick up the win in this one, and I'm more than happy to take the underdog in this fight. So my pick is Joey Beltran, paying $2.30 to defeat Matt Mitrione. So quickly recapping my picks for UFC 119 and the betting payouts, now both the single bets at the rate of $25 per bet and a parlay card of all the fights still at $100. First, I'll be taking Melvin Guillard at $1.57 on a single $25 bet, pays $39.25. Evan Dunham at $1.43, gives you a return of $35.75. Chris Lytle paying $1.72, a single bet amounting to $43 even. Ryan Bader also at $1.57, paying back $39.25. And in the main event, Frank Mir at $1.40, paying $35 even. On the prelims, Dalloway pays $1.25, you get a return of $31.25, and Joey Beltran at $2.30 gets a walking return of $57.50. Parlaying all of these fights together, the bet price is $24.40. If you drop down $100, you'll get a return of $2,440.22, a very large return for only one underdog on the card. So again, thank you for watching Kamikaze Overdrive MMA predictions for UFC 119. And as always, check out lowkick.com for all of your MMA news and updates and articles written by myself. And if you'd like to bet on this event or any other event or sporting event for that matter, please check out sportsinteraction.com/Kamikaze Overdrive MMA and receive your 100% sign-up bonus up to $125. For more info, click on the link in the description below. And once again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you back here shortly.